The next issue that I'd like to address is setting backgrounds. Now, we've already seen how to set solid color backgrounds, obviously, on our sidebar and even on the body of our page. Now, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to flip over to my code for a second and look for my redefined body element, my HTML selector. There he is, right there. And there you can see I went and changed the background. And we did that way back when, right? Now, as a matter of fact, I've been using a little bit of CSS shorthand. So if I want to specify a background color, I can go background-color and then specify either a named color or hexadecimal color value as I've done here. Or if I scroll down just a little bit, there's my sidebar ID selector. And I also specified a background color for this guy, but I used shorthand. So rather than going background-color, I just said background. And then I threw in my hexadecimal color value, or again, a named color value. And that'll work just fine, which is wonderful. But really what I'd like to do now is I'd like to focus on setting graphical backgrounds or using an image for a background. And there's all kinds of cool things that we can do with this guy here. So I'm going to do this on my redefined body element, this guy right here. I'm actually going to leave the background color and then throw a graphical background on top of the background color. It's kind of a neat effect that you can use every once in a while. So to specify a background graphic, I'm going to go background-image, just like this, :space. And then this is where it gets a little weird. We're going to go URL, and then in regular parentheses or regular brackets, not squiggly brackets or angle brackets or anything like that, just regular curvy brackets. Inside those brackets, we're going to go and specify our graphic. So we'd have to type in the URL to the graphic. Now, I'm going to stick with using one of the graphics that we had seen earlier. So all we should need to do is simply type in cartoon1.jpg, just like this. And then after the closing parentheses, the closing bracket, throw in your semicolon, just like that. And then if I save my code and flip back to the browser and refresh, we now have this background graphic, which maybe isn't the greatest example of a background graphic because obviously readability is becoming an issue here. But more importantly, we do have a graphical background, which is wonderful. And notice, of course, by default, background images or background graphics tile. They repeat both horizontally and vertically. Now, what's cool is we can actually control this repeating behavior. Let me show you how to do this. I'm going to flip back to my code. I'm going to look for my redefined body, this guy right here. And what I'll do is I'll throw in another background-related property. I'm going to go background-repeat. And unfortunately, it's getting broken onto a second line here. But background-repeat, :space. I could go repeat, which is the default, right? It's just going to tile over and over and over again. That's one value that I can use for that property. Or, check this out, I could go repeat-x, which means repeat only horizontally. So X is horizontal, right? So I'm going to save this and then refresh my browser. And now I'm only getting the graphic tiling across the page. Notice that it's not tiling down the page, and now further down the page, I have that background color that I specified on my body element. So we can go repeat X. We could also go repeat Y if we are so inclined. So in other words, repeat only vertically, not horizontally, something like that. So these might come in handy in your travels. Or what I could do, and this is probably my favorite, is I could say no-repeat or no-repeat. In other words, don't tile the background image, just give it to me once. That's all I want, which is pretty cool. Nice stuff. Now, there's a couple of other neat things that we can do here. You'll notice that when I scroll down my page, you'll notice that the background graphic scrolls with the page. I could set this background graphic to be fixed. In other words, it's not going to scroll with the page. It's going to stay exactly where it's positioned on screen. And to do that, what we'll do is we'll throw on another property here called background-attachment. First of all, the default is scroll, so that's no good because we've already seen that. So instead, I'm going to try fixed. There, just like that. Save that, and then refresh your browser. And now when I scroll, the background graphic remains in its original position. It remains fixed, which is a pretty cool effect. So you might want to experiment with that guy a little bit. I've got just a few more things that I want to show you here. I'm going to throw in one more background related property, and that is background hyphen position. There we go. Full colon space. And what I can do is I can actually control the horizontal and vertical position of this object. I'm going to specify two values. Let's say, for example, 100px and 100px. Now, how this works is the first value is horizontal and the second value is vertical. So in other words, this guy's going to be positioned 100 pixels in from the left and 100 pixels down from the top. Maybe what I'll do is I'll change this down to 50 just so we can see a difference between the two values. I'll save up my work and flip back over to the browser and reset. And notice now that the graphic is pushed down 50 pixels, down into my page, and over into my page 100 pixels. So you can control where this graphic appears, where it shows up. It's pretty awesome stuff. So there you go. There's a whole pile of background-related CSS properties.